We are back for another episode. We're here to learn, laugh, have fun. Most importantly, we're here to drink. I'm Aaron, this is Jay, and this is
Quality Drinking.
Who we got, Jay?
I can't just say we have someone special this time.
Because he's beyond special.
We've been saying someone special the whole Vegas trip. We got someone unique, lucrative, in his own lane. Almost like a passive income guy, but a passive.
Pour me the drink, I'm ready for the cheers. Let's go.
You know, this guy, you know, we got an entrepreneur, a brand ambassador.
What else?
You know, for the Chargers. You know, we got a notable shoe person in the industry. You know, the youngest guy, hang out with all the athletes, students, you name it. You know, we in his crib himself. If you don't know who we're talking about Mr. Goddamn Blake Wynn in the building, man. Glad we tapped in the city, man. We tapped in the city.
Let's do this.
I'm gonna let everybody know the rules at home, and you know. We got 5 rounds. Each round is 7 minutes. You know, if you could make it to each round, make it through all 5 rounds. We got 10 listening questions. If you can't make it to all 5 rounds, you got a bell you want to tap. You know, don't be scared to tap. You know what I'm saying? You ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Let's go.
Let's go. Who is Blake Wynn?
Man, I don't even hit it with the hard ones already. So I started off as a YouTuber. When I was 16, I used to resell sneakers, and I wanted to grow the business. So I started a YouTube channel to try to market that a little bit more. That kind of took on a life of its own. 45 days after I started, I ended up with 10,000 subscribers. 7 months later, I hit 100,000, and so that's what a lot of people know me as. I would say more over than that, I'm probably an entrepreneur. I kind of fell into the influencer thing, but I would say entrepreneur, at least right now in my life. I'm still young. Hopefully later on it'll be some other things.
You started out as an early entrepreneur, right? You started out washing cars. At that moment, did you know, hey, this is my goal. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, entrepreneurship?
I never really thought that making money was that cool, to be honest with you. And so it wasn't so much I was attracted to entrepreneurship, I was just attracted to the thought of like coming up with my own idea and figuring out a way where other people saw value in that idea. That's really what it is. And now obviously like in business, like to show that you feel like something has value, you gotta more or less pay for it. So I get that that's a component of it, but really for me it was just like coming up with new creative ways to show other people that I could do something for them that they would find valuable. And that was really it. And that was why I was car washing and selling shoes that they couldn't get other places for probably less than what they would have had to pay other places. And then everything after that.
Yeah. I know you mentioned being in the shoe game. Is there any hidden codes? Because this way, you know, we got you on the map. Is there any hidden codes when it comes to selling shoes or trading shoes that shoe collectors, major shoe collectors have? Is it just any hidden secret that you just guys know?
I think it's volume. A lot of people try to buy the Yeezy. They try to get it for retail, which is hard to do. They pay to get a bottom, like put on their computer, like all that kind of stuff. I never did that in my life. For me, it was I would go to Nike outlets, Adidas outlets, in like these tiny little cities that like people would be like, "What could you find there?" And I'd find like a pair of shoes that would maybe be, you know, suggested retail would be like $80, and they'd be like $19.99, and they maybe are only really worth $40 on eBay. But I'd go there and I'd be like, "How many do you have? 26 of them? I'll take all 26." Put them on eBay. $19 to $40 within a day. Now you apply that, you think about stocks, you think about all these other things that you could essentially use to turn over money. That was basically what sneakers were. At the same time too, like I was still really, really young when I first started selling sneakers. Like I wasn't even into sneakers. I was like 11 years old. Like I wore like the DC shoes, I wore Crocs. Like I didn't care. It was more so just like, oh, like honestly, my family we'd spend all summer in this little tiny city in Utah. So I had nothing to do besides I'd ride my bike. It was like 10 miles each way to this outlet mall. I'd buy these $20 shoes, I'd put them on my parents' eBay, and I had fun like boxing them up and shipping them out and stuff like that. And so that was how it started. And then as I started finding out about, for me it wasn't even Jordans, it was LeBrons. Once I found out about LeBrons, I was kind of like, okay. Because LeBron was like, that's what I grew up on. Obviously, honestly, I think Jordan's a go. I'm not even going to get into that. I'm just saying like, LeBron for me was who I grew up on. So when he came out with, it was like the LeBron 9s and LeBron 10s. I think he's on like the 17 or 18 now. Like he's crazy far now. But back then I was like, man, this shoe's cool. And so once I started getting that, and then I got into it, and then I really started liking reselling a lot more because I was into what I was actually selling. before that, it was kind of like, okay, like, here's some Adidas shoe, but I just had fun with the bike riding and the boxing it up. Like to me, it was all a game. Like, I didn't play video games, so like I would like go to dumpsters behind outlet malls, and I would literally jump in. They like outlet malls. I don't know if people know this. They actually have dumpsters that are specific for cardboard boxes. So I would jump in these cardboard dumpsters, and I would find the boxes to ship these shoes out in, just because, not to save like 70 cents in the box. I just really liked doing all these little
salute to the process.
That's
the process, man.
How much longer I got? 3 minutes? Okay.
Staying with the shoes, you ever had one shoe that you said, hey, I'm not selling these. These are the ones I have to keep.
Yeah, I got one pair. I still got them to this day. It's a pair of Jordan 5s. They're called the Shanghai 5s. Not a lot of people have them. They're not necessarily like crazy hard to get. It's probably worth like $700-800. I got them on a trip with my dad when I was in New York. I had saved up basically everything I could afford to spend on something for myself. Because I was like 13 at the time. Maybe like 14. Bought the shoes. My dad ended up getting really, really sick when I was there, and I was too young to like go with him to the hospital. So my mom like got me on a plane, like flew me home, and it was so unexpected. Like, these shoes were my carry-on, and so I was just like, all right, like these are gonna be like I'm just not gonna let these go. You know what I mean? But man, a lot of other pairs that I was like, there's no way I'll ever sell them. Man, the right dollar amount comes along, and all of a sudden it gets a little easier to sell it. Like, I just sold Red Octobers. I've sold my Nike Air Mags. Like, I've had those pairs that are worth like $5, $10, $1,000+, and it's like, you don't think you're gonna sell it, but if someone comes along and they're like, you want this? It's like,
yeah.
So, okay, but going to that point, do you believe in the saying everything has a price tag on it?
Not everything. I think every sneaker has a price tag on it. I think like if you're talking about like something like sneakers, like hoodies or something like that, like not everything has a price tag on it. Talking about materials, yes. I mean, I understand the sentimental value thing. Like for me, like that Jordan 5 like doesn't have a dollar.
That's a special one.
But like I have a cat. Like, that doesn't have a dollar amount attached to it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not selling my cat. You know what I mean? So stuff like that where it's like, no, I don't think everything does, but a lot does.
Who shoe gaming industry do you respect and say, hey, they crazy, they have it?
Man. I mean, I think, okay, like a lot of guys have it, but like there's certain guys, like I think like a guy like Travis Scott, it's like, you had the opportunity to take like a Jordan 1 and a Jordan 4. But he like rocked out on that shoe. Like that could have easily been like a bullshit looking Jordan that looks like any other Jordan that's come out. Like from like 2017 to 2019, they were putting out crap, which is why Adidas got so hot, right? Like then Travis comes along, Virgil comes along, they bring out really, really cool stuff, and it's like, okay. So like to me, it's not so much like who has like these crazy collections, because to me, it's like, I'll be honest, like at some point I think it's hoarding, to be real with you. Like I've even been a victim of it. Like I've had times in my life where I've had like literally more than 1,000 pairs of shoes. But it's like they were never my personal collection. If I had that many in my personal collection, I'd be like, man, there's almost like a problem there, right? Because it's like at that point you're talking about so much money, and there's so much you can do with money that for it to be sitting in sneakers like that, at least for me, it doesn't do it.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys too, like they get it all for free. So it's like at that point too, like why not?
My guy made it to the second round.
Oh, we're good, man.
Yeah, we're
Sounds good.
I'm about to throw that bell.
Yeah, give him a good. Now, I saw in 2019, that you did the Mansion Tour, the $1 million Mansion Tour. Who idea was that, and where was this crib at, for people that don't know, and how much did you love it? Is it still active? And talk about the backstory of that crib.
So I made it clear in the video, I didn't buy that house. That house, I was renting it. It was right when I first moved back from New York. It is like basically $1 million house. I think it's like 900 and some thousand. It's like 5-10 minutes away from here. It's in a place in Las Vegas called Summerlin. Nice little spot. It was kind of interesting because it was the first time I ever lived in a house by myself. Like when I went to New York, I had an apartment, but coming back and just having so much space was definitely weird. That was kind of the point in life where I fell into the hoarding of like, man, I could have 1,000 shoes. It really doesn't matter. I'll have a whole bedroom, and like I really did that at one point in time. But man, it was kind of like I had quit YouTube. I was kind of just like, I know people want to see something. I just don't know what to show them. And to be honest, I don't like, people always ask me like, do I watch YouTube? Honestly, no. But I watch this one channel on YouTube called Arc Digest. They go around and they go into celebrities' homes and they like show like, they don't like show off the people's stuff, but it's kind of like they let them go around and let them talk about the architecture of their home, if it's a nice home. Granted, like my home was not like filled up, like you're talking about $12 million homes on this thing. Like, but at the same time, I was just so into that channel at the time that I was kind of like, I want to do this in my own house. Like just to kind of do this content that I like. In retrospect, kind of wish I didn't. I just feel like when you're young and you associate like a price tag to something that you have, like all of a sudden you're looked at differently. Some people may look at it as a target on your back. Some people may look at it as he's flexing. Some people may look at it too as like, hey, like I could use financial help. Let me reach out to him. You know what I mean? I'm just like, at the end of the day, there wasn't really a lot to gain from that. But at the same time, it was like I was a fan of it, and I don't think it's that big of a deal at the end of the day. I don't even live there anymore. It was a rental. Like someone bought it after I moved out.
You attended Fordham University, right?
Yeah.
What's something that you learned outside of the university in business as an entrepreneur that you wouldn't have learned in that classroom setting?
Man, pretty much everything. I don't think college is that good for business, right? Because, well, I don't think college is that good for entrepreneurship. There's a difference. There's difference, right?
It's two different things.
There's two different things. Okay, so you're sitting in class, right? Just break it down to fundamental level. You're sitting in class, you have to show up at the same time every time you go to this class, right? You have to listen to whoever's talking, and you gotta sit there and you gotta be quiet. And like, I'll be honest, like separate from my own beliefs, like in college, like a lot of beliefs are put on you, whether they be political, whether they be about history, whatever it's about, like a lot of stuff is put on you, and it's really just their opinion. But my thing was always like, I kind of don't care what your opinion is, right? Like you're teaching me entrepreneurship, but you've never started a business in your life. So I'm like, how valuable can this knowledge be to me? And by the way, I'm paying for this knowledge, right? Like it's to me, it's almost like, man, like you can go on like masterclass and pay $100 and learn poker from Daniel Negreanu, right? He's the best poker player in the world. You can learn about wines from like the top wine person, right? Like you can learn about all these things online. Like, so to me, like if you go to college to learn, like you probably already lost, especially in the context of business. Now you're going to like pre-med, law, something like that. I get it, you know, but for me, man, like I remember, I'll never forget this, and I hate to expose Fordham, but honestly, I kind of don't give a shit. Like, honestly, like I'll never forget, they had a personal branding expert come in and talk to the entire business school. Yeah. And like, I don't necessarily consider myself a personal branding expert. I think I did it for myself, but I don't necessarily think I could explain to someone else how to do it for themselves. But at the same time, not only could this girl not do it, but she had like, I'm not even gonna say her name because I feel like that'd be rude, but she had like less than like 2,000 followers in her own like social, like terrible engagement, like the whole thing. And I'm like sitting here and I'm like, man, I'm paying to hear from you. Like
that's crazy.
About like what it means to have a personal brand. And like, I'm not trying to be cocky about it, but like, I'll never forget, because like Fordham's a pretty small school, so like a lot of people there knew that I did the YouTube thing and everything like that. And I was like I felt the room, like everyone's like, what do you think of what she's saying? Like they're looking at me for like approval and stuff, and I'm sitting, and by the way, I thought everything she said was wrong. And it drove me nuts. And I called my mom, my mom and I are very close. I called her up right after I left this class. I'm like, Mom, I'm dropping out. Like I've had enough. I didn't end up dropping out over this, but I was really furious, because I'm like, man, like I was so excited for this. Like they hyped up personal branding expert, blah, 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 blah. And I get in there, I'm like, my God, she has less followers than 95% of this room, right? Like if you're a girl, you probably have more than 2,000 followers. Like if you went to high school, you probably do. And if you're a guy and you ever played a sport or were in theater or basically did anything, you probably at least have 1,000. So I'm like, it basically, like, you should have just said, you know what, someone raise your hand, you teach this. Exactly. That's kind of what it felt like, you know? So college for me, man, not it. Not an advocate.
Most money you've ever spent on shoes?
6,000. I spent them on, you ever seen Back to the Future? I spent them on the Nike mags, like the ones that light up and stuff. Man, when I spent it, I had it, but I didn't really have it. It was kind of like, it was right as I was starting my YouTube, and I was like, man, if I get these shoes, I know that the video is going to do well. And plus, like, there was a couple other like sneaker YouTubers that were kind of coming up at the same time as me. There was this kid, Blake Linder, that was doing it. There was this kid, Giancarlo Blazendary, one of my good friends, that was doing it, and they both had the mags. I'm like, man, I can't be left out, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, and I had so many content ideas. I'm like, man, if I had this shoe, I could make a lot of cool content. Ended up buying the shoe, but fast forward 2 years, D'Angelo Williams, the old Steelers and Panthers running back, he ended up buying them off me for 10 grand. So I was like, all right, like, it worked out. And I bought them brand new, wore them for like 2 years, probably 40 or 50 times. Like so that was the thing too, is it was kind of a promotional thing. Like I would wear them to like sneaker events, and like you'd get extra press because people like kind of take a picture of what's on your feet, like you're actually wearing them, and you know, made a lot of YouTube videos out of them. Like honestly, definitely got my money's worth, but on shoes, I would say yeah, six is the most.
If you could wrap up this round real quick, I know we're getting short on this round. 2 Michelin star chefs that could come in real quick, cook a nice course meal for you and your girl. Wolfgang Puck, Gordon Ramsay. Who you picking?
Gordon Ramsay. I don't think Wolfgang Puck's that good. Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't say he's ever cooked for me.
I just had him,
but like the restaurants, like the Wolfgang Puck restaurants, like I don't even think I've been to the Gordon Ramsay ones. Actually, to be fair though, the Wolfgang Puck food's all right, but the service is always really slow. Like I feel like I get there and I feel like I don't leave for like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah,
I don't know if that happened to you guys, but
I just experienced it.
Gordon Ramsay is just more.
also like that's Hell's Kitchen, like that's dope.
Yeah.
I want to go there.
Like Wolfgang Puck, like he's just on like all the cans.
Yeah.
Like Gordon Ramsay has like the show.
So,
But respect.
what round are we? What round?
Is this the third?
That's the third. How you feeling?
I'm good.
Is this the third or is it the second? It's the third.
That's the third.
I think we got to
third.
step it up or something.
Hey, crank it up, man. Crank it up.
We got to.
They're pulling an audible on me like mid-show. I was not aware of this little tequila thing, but all right.
Let's dive into something else, right? Talk about in play.
Let's do it.
How did we get started?
Kind of fell into it. When I first got to college, I kind of stopped the YouTube thing. I didn't really know what was next, and it actually drove me crazy. It was probably the least happy point in my life because I was like, man, this. Okay, I don't really know how to articulate it properly, probably, but honestly, the way it felt was like, man, I was not ahead of my. Honestly, this is how I felt. I felt like I was ahead of my friends in terms of like I'm not just a high schooler right now. Like I'm not just sitting here like freaking out about the SATs and stuff like that. Like I've got a business. I was on tour. Like I was doing a lot of different things that were very, very different than anybody else. Then fast forward, I'm like 18 going into my freshman year of college. I'm living in the dorms and I'm like, man, I really don't have anything else going on for me, like any different than anyone else around me. And like nothing wrong with that. No disrespect to anybody else. But I pride myself on being different and doing more. Because I really think that like everyone could do more if they wanted to. And the thing is, I really wanted to. So at the same time, I had really good relationships with like a lot of big brands. And at the same time, I developed friendships with like a lot of other celebrities just from being in that industry, I suppose you could say. So guys here and there would like reach out and be like, hey, can you get me this brand deal, this brand deal, this brand deal, and so on and so forth. Until I finally got to the point where I was like, I kind of think there's a thought here. And I was again, putting the context of college in place, I went to a Jesuit university, Fordham University, Jesuit University. I was in a class called like Introduction to Jewish History. Like, I don't feel like the class was taught properly. I'm Jewish, so like I knew a lot of what the real information was. I was like, man, it's kind of being taught, whatever. So I zoned it out and I made a business plan in there. And I was like, I'm gonna call up one of my best friends, a guy named Hayes Pollard, who's now president of Athlete Marketing. He was a linebacker for the Chargers at the time. Also, happy birthday, Hayes. As we're filming this, is his birthday. And I FaceTime, I was like, dude, I got this idea. I was like, man, 86% of all athletes go broke within 36 months of retiring. I was like, what if I could get those kinds of guys brand deals? Because the 14% that don't go broke, that's like your Tom Brady's or AJ Green's, like, oh shit, they don't go broke. Yeah. Like they make $40 million a year, like they have great endorsement deals. But what about the linebacker like Hayes, who, you know, makes $1.2 million a year, which is great, but you have 6 years to make that money and it's gotta last you the rest of your life. Granted, Hayes has a lot of other skills and things like that, but for most people in that situation, like that's what's got to last your whole life, and you're making nothing off the field. I know how to help you make money off the field because you guys are influencers. Like you have an audience that's willing to listen to you. So when we first started, it was a company called BLAKE WYNN Sports, and we essentially literally took a percentage and we got athletes.
So what year we talking around?
This is September of 2018. This was literally like my second week in college. Okay, I will say the champagne's not getting me, but I'm getting a little. Little oxygen in the body, a little air.
You take your time.
But yeah, man. I mean, it was really just one of those things where every time the business pivoted, it was all very natural. It was like it went from helping my friends get deals to I'm gonna make this a real business, and then it was like, you know what? The biggest flaw that we had was that we were trying to sell athletes as products to these brands, and it kind of cheapens their brand. If you've got a team, at the time I think we had 3 or 4 people, so it wasn't like a crazy big team, but we had 4 people reaching out to, literally our quote was like 100 brands a day saying, hey, here's our roster of athletes, essentially pay them to work with them. Like that's like breaking it down to the base level. And I was like, man, we're kind of cheapening their brands. Like, I don't like the way this works. Also, I'm like, man, we got YouTubers, we got models. Like, I have a lot of other friends besides these athletes, right? Like, I've got like, you know, some of the biggest YouTubers in the world, like models, actors, entrepreneurs, the whole thing. Like, I want to tap into that a little bit. And so that's when we really kind of thought like, okay, what if we did all the marketing for companies and we just had everything in-house? So that way, instead of being like, hey, you know, buy this person, it was, hey, give us a retainer. You want influencers? Done. You don't want athletes? You want YouTubers? I've got them, right? I've got this. I've got, you want like press done on you? We can do press. Like, you want an ad campaign ran? Like, people don't even realize this, but like, I had an e-commerce business when I was on YouTube. It was called shopjustwin.com on Shopify. Like, a lot of people thought it was just like me reselling like sneakers and things like that, which on the surface it was, but it was ran like a legitimate e-com business. Like, we had sales funnels, like the whole thing. Like, we're in the top 1% in sales and traffic for 18 months straight, despite only being open for 3 months.
So to that shit, man. We're not gonna speak about it. We're not gonna speak past it. Like, he's not dropping.
Yeah, he dropping some shit right now.
Man, I got a limited time, 2 minutes. Yeah, man. So it was one of those things where I really just felt like we had the tools to actually be an effective marketing agency. So I'll never forget it. We really had almost like no revenue at the time. Because it's hard, right? You're just selling them. Also, we get a small percentage, right? Because you want to be fair to the athlete. So when we did finally like get a company that wanted to pay for it, we as a business made almost nothing. And I'll never forget, it was me, Brock, who's now CEO of the business, and Josh, one of my best friends who also works for the business now. We all lived together at the time, and we were hot tubbing one night, and I was like, guys, we have to change this now. Otherwise, there's no business here, and there never will be a business here. And we sat in this hot tub for like, I'm not even joking, probably 5 hours. And we basically just talked out a whole business plan. The next day we made the change. Within 3 months, within 3 months, we had generated more business on a 30-day basis than we'd had in the 18 months leading up to that. Just because it was...
One more than that. Cause there's some powerful numbers we talking about right here. There's some powerful numbers right here.
Man, okay, sorry to a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that was really how everything changed. And so at the time it was still BWYNN Sports. Long story short, that was then how the Enclave and Key pivot came about. This was just about last, I want to say October. I was like, BWYNN Sports doesn't even fit the bill anymore. Because at the time, BWYNN Sports was BWYNN because I felt like that was the only thing that really had credibility at the time, was attaching my name to it. So what else do we have, right? We're not a firm. Like, I'm 18, 19 years old at the time. I was like, I want to sound more like a firm. We're also not just sports anymore. We've got all these other assets and offerings and things like that. I was like, Enclave and Key. That's honestly how it came to be.
Right. Explain real quick in these little 30 seconds. What's the process when you meet these athletes? You want to, you go see a new athlete in New York City, blah, blah. Are you tapping in with them? Are you DMing them? How is it going down?
Okay, so at first it was DMing them. Now we have like a lot of word of mouth. Like now, like I'll be going to Miami. Also, like, because the thing is like this is really so largely based on our personal relationships, right? Like, it's not just like, oh, these are random athletes that we work with, right? Like, it's kind of like pour going.
Yeah, you've made it to the top of the floor. Oh, man, Mr. Wynn, how you feeling?
I'm fine.
So going back to that question when you said, you was talking about how do we land these athletes, how you meet them. You said it used to be them, now it's this.
It's word of mouth.
It's word of mouth. Continue that process.
I just think that we have something unique, right? Like you take these guys whose agents promise them marketing deals, and no disrespect to the agents, but a lot of times they don't deliver. But they don't not deliver because they couldn't, right? Jesus, there's a lot of champagne bubbles in my stomach.
Yeah.
They don't deliver because it's like, right, like, so if you're an agent, you can take between 2 and 3% of a player, right? So let's say a guy, who makes $6 million a year on the field, it's awesome, but his Instagram's worth, let's say 10 grand, right? What's 3% of 10 grand? That's $300. This agent who just cashed out like 50K plus on signing him his deal, he doesn't care about making him $300, right? Also, I don't even need to make the $300. So we don't take a percentage from the athlete anymore. The company's the client, they pay us a retainer, they give us their budget, we allocate their budget, and so I'm like, yo, so-and-so, how much do you want to do this? They tell me their amount, we'll give it to them, right? As long as it makes sense for the client, because everything's, again, it's being done based on what actually makes sense for the client. And so it's become really easy to recruit guys, because now it's like, yo, you are my teammate, you get all these marketing deals, how are you getting them? Oh, my guys at Enclave keep it, Blake does it, Brock does it, Ani does it, right? And so now it's like this nice flow of like constant, also now we're at the point where we get like agents reaching out to us, yo, can you, basically we're doing the legwork for them for free, right? Like long story short, like in terms of the athletes, right? The key though is there's so much more, there's the athletes, right? Like the athletes went from being 100% of the business to being closer to like, I'd say 25, 20, 25, yeah. We do a lot more in the NFL now as well, but also they're so close, right? Like when I go to Miami, like I'll rent a boat for the day and I'll have a bunch of the guys come on it, or I'll get a table at a nightclub and I'll have a bunch of the guys come, right? And they might not know each other, but it's like, man, that 21-year-old is linking all of us. Like he's clearly probably doing something, right? And at the same time, have you ever gotten paid by this kid? Yeah. Have you gotten paid by him? Yeah. Have you gotten paid by him? Yeah. And so it's like, hey, if we go out, like, and it's a $2,000 bill, you probably made that month off of us. And we charge you nothing. And we're non-exclusive. So, hey, I got another brand deal coming in. Cool, take it, congrats. Also, I got some guys that are like, yo, I trust you to negotiate this, whatever it may be. Like, can you take this deal over for me? And we really get nothing out of that because we don't have deals with them where we can take a percentage, but I'm like, of course, I got you, right? We get on, a couple Zoom calls and negotiate the deal for them, and that's the end of it, right? And so a lot of guys, I think, I was definitely raised around the concept of like doing favors for others. Like that's a big thing in Vegas. Like Vegas is a small town. People that are here have been here for a while, and so you're kind of brought up like, okay, you do this person. Just do this person a favor, right? Because if you do them a favor, they're gonna owe you a favor, and it becomes this whole thing. And so really, this entire business was kind of a, how do I monetize this Unreal network without actually monetizing the network? Go charge brands, but at the same time, charge brands in a way that lets them be extremely profitable. Because a guy may tell his agent, yo, I want 15 grand to do this because you're taking a cut and I got to deal with contracts and I got to do 55 fucking things, versus they come to us and I can text them and be like, yo, I know it's not what your rate is, but you want $1,000 to do this for an hour? Yes. Okay, done. It's literally a text message. And so like for a lot of athletes, like it's granted they have more time than you would expect, because if they're not training and they're not playing and they're not in season, they are chilling.
They're chilling, yeah.
So if they're chilling and you ask for an hour of their time for $1,500, and also like I wouldn't say it's bad anyway, but I know how to frame it, right? It's not like, yo, you want $1,000. It's like, yo, I'm coming to Miami next week. Let's go crazy at the club. Bill's probably gonna be $1,000. Let's get it covered right now. You know what I mean? And so it becomes this thing where athletes are like, oh, okay, let's do it, right? And it's literally as simple as that. And then it's all kind of like, I mean, you guys saw like Kruk, right? Like these are like seriously like some of my closest friends.
Staying with the athletes, what athlete would you like to have to the firm that you don't already have a partnership with?
To be honest, like I don't overly care, because the thing is it's like, as much as it'd be great, like I understand the value of the business would increase if I could say, hey, we have LeBron James here, right? Or we have Peyton Manning or some superstar, right? I get that. But at the same time, like the business wasn't really built on that. The business was built on those 86% that go broke. And we have a lot of them. Like we have I mean,
it's more them than there's 14%, 12%.
I was just, and look, we have guys that are in the 14%. Like, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, like, those guys that are in the 14%, if I bring a $50,000 deal, it's like, hey, respect. If I bring a guy in the 86%, a $2,000 deal, it's like, yo, that covered my credit card bill.
Yeah.
And so it's a different feeling, right? Like I've literally had guys, yo, I have a $3,300 credit card bill due at the end of the month, like anything in the pipeline that I could jump into. But the thing is the whole time, like I'm looking at it from the brand's perspective, right? So I may go to him and say, look, you normally want $2,500 to do stuff, right? I can justify this to this brand if you're willing to do it for like $600. But we'll get the deal done, and I could probably get you 5 of those in the next couple weeks. Because at $600, you are a slam dunk good deal for any brand, right? And so if you really want the money, let's make it happen like that. Boom, done. And then honestly, it's a good situation for them, especially during the off season.
If you could be in it, WrestleMania just passes up. I don't know if you're a big wrestling fan. WrestleMania just passes up. If you could be any wrestler for one night on a WrestleMania stage, what would it be and what would your name be?
If I could?
If you could.
Man, I'd want to like fake knock someone out.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are like, man, he's skinny.
Yeah.
And if I could just go up there and just and someone like I saw this clip the other day of like Logan Paul like getting like fake clocked by somebody.
Wow.
That was definitely way smaller than him. And I was like, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Stay with Logan Paul, right?
Oh man, wrestler name? Wow, what a good question. Not a lot of times I get asked that.
That's a good one.
You gotta think.
He thinking about
Because there's some serious shit. A good wrestling name. It's positive.
He has 24 seconds to come up with
You got enough time.
El Prez.
Alfred.
Yeah. Just feels hard.
El Press. Welcome El Press to the stage. We got El Press.
And Logan Paul, since you talking about him, just fuck somebody up.
That was Jake. Jake did
Yeah,
fuck
Jake.
somebody out.
Jake.
Jake, he fuck somebody up.
Top of the fifth.
How you feel?
Still good. Honestly, just a lot of bubbles.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just like trying not to burp, but honestly, it's good.
Because it's looking like we're going to have to bring tequila out anyway. You know, so let's just finish this bottle out.
That's what he originally
That's what he originally wanted.
We already finished the
So-
bottle.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, it's on this one at this point, you know. Here we go.
wow.
This is the final return right here.
Oh boy.
How do you feel right now?
I'm like on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm like a good 4.
And can you tell the people that this is real champagne? This is not nothing that we apple juice. Tell them this is real
In like
liquor that we
in
drink.
like 2-3 rounds, when I start slurring my words, they're gonna be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was real. No, I will say this though. Most underrated thing about dealing with athletes, your tolerance for alcohol grows tremendously.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all they gonna do is fuck off.
Because the thing is, they're like 6'8" and 240.
They can consume more. Think about it. I
I am
not him.
6 foot 160. So, but I drink like I'm 6'8", 240.
So we're at the top of the fifth. Go on to the drinking part. When you're out with the partners and you're out with the celebrities, what's one snack, one late night snack that Blake has to have when he's drunk, you know, and he just have to have his wings, his Scooby snacks, whatever. You know, what's one snack that you need to consume when you're drunk? Just has to have.
Okay, so my favorite memories, honestly, probably my whole life, are going out with like Giants, Jets, like some of those guys that would come to New York when I was living in New York, and then going to get Dollar Pizza right afterwards. It's such a good time because Dollar Pizza's open 24/7.
Yeah.
Definitely not pizza.
It's a piece of that.
99 cents. I'm
You
telling
can't
you,
do
it's
it.
better than any pizza that do this in this
It's
entire
It's better than Domino's?
Big slice, yeah.
Pizza? Is it better than that?
What? Bro, like, man, people don't understand how
Do they
much
have that
better
now?
New York pizza is than everywhere
It's
else.
a big slice, right?
It's a pretty big slice. It's a pretty big slice,
New York style.
but it's just good, man.
Because it's heavily debated between Chicago and New York. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, but if
you
you're
have
drunk-
a better pizza. If you're drunk, I'll let you go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not a 4 when I'm out with those guys, right? Because they're like a 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I'm 10.
Yeah.
I'm probably an 11. Like I'm probably gonna go home. You guys have a good night? Oh, dude, it was what a blast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see you next Friday. I go upstairs and just throw up.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. That grows the business. At the same time too, like I don't want people to think it's fake either. Like these people, like I really do like mess with them on a personal level. Like I end up knowing like their significant others if they have one, like their kids, like I go visit them, like we do lots of activities sober, right? It's not like it's like partying and like, all right, see you in 9 months, right? Like we have a good time, but at the same time, like they're really good dudes, and I grew up as a diehard football fan. Like I always tell people, I'm like, the reason I do what I do is because 10-year-old me would have idolized 21-year-old me. And I think that's really cool. And the hope is that what I'm doing right now will make it so that way I idolize what 31-year-old me will be. And so on and so forth, right? Like, and so like that's why like to me it's so motivating. It's like, man, like all these people talk about like the dreams and goals and things like that they had as a kid. And like for me it's like, man, like I don't want them to be no disrespect, I don't want them to be fucking dreams and goals. Like I want them to be real life. Like I want to wake up and like, man, like I missed a FaceTime call from this dude that like I grew up, like seriously, like I paid for this fucker's autograph at some point in my life. You know what I mean? Like, and now it's like, man, like he's hitting me up like, yo, what are we doing? And it's like, no, like, and I still feel that 10-year-old me. Like I have an incredibly like large sense of nostalgia, especially from my childhood. Like there was good and bad, like both obviously, but like the nostalgia is super strong. Like so to me, like working with the athletes is like I wouldn't trade it.
Yeah.
staying with athletes and football and stuff. Talk about being the brand ambassador for the Chargers.
That's like to
That's
this day, that's honestly probably the thing that I'm like the most.
That's tough right there. That's
It's
tough.
close to that.
Like I remember, because it was funny. Like for them, it was super casual. Like I was doing so much work with them, and they were like, you know what? Like I'll never. Like we were literally at a game because my agency also did some marketing for them. We were at a game. And they were like, you know what? You do so much for us. Like you should just be a global brand ambassador. And it was as simple as that. Like we'll send you whatever. Like you should just be the global brand ambassador. I was like, okay. I kept it as non-common as that, but in my head, I was like, holy shit. Because I was like 17 at the time, and like, dude, like I wanted to work with the Chargers so badly my whole life. Like. Grew up a diehard fan, like was always a Chargers fan. To this day, I'm still a fan. Like they're not that good, and I stuck through it the whole way. Like
So you're a real fan.
Yeah, you're a real fan.
No, seriously,
You're a real fan.
love the team, and so like being able to work with them has been unbelievable. I definitely have like a lot of pride in that. You know, it's just one of those things where it's like, man, like again, like going back to the styles thing, like you're doing 10-year-old you a real solid right now. You know.
That mean a lot, man.
Going into some different shit, right? While he's drinking.
Let's do it.
Why is Wolf of Wall Street your favorite movie?
Okay. This is a tough question because it's like really the movie's about like a guy who basically fucks a bunch of people out of money to make himself rich, goes to prison for like a very short period of time and comes back like, hey, I'm still good.
I'm still good.
The reason I like the movie so much is because the first time I ever watched it was with Brock, who's CEO of the company, and one of my really good friends, Kevin. They came to New York. It was literally like the third day I lived in my apartment there. And it was a big deal to me because it was like, man, it's the first time living alone, but not in a dorm, right? Like, it was a nice place, like nice view. Like I kind of felt that like, oh, like I'm like here in New York, but like I don't really get it. And like I saw the movie, I was like, man, I get it. I get it. And it made me romanticize where I was living at that time. I would say that's probably not my favorite movie anymore. It's a great movie. Martin Scorsese does a great job. The Irishman is probably my new favorite movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yes.
When I got Corona, which I have had, which is why I'm a little like not so great with the masks because I have antibodies, I'm getting the vaccine. I just was like, man, this is a cool movie. But at the same time, like The Wolf of Wall Street's an iconic movie. Scorsese does a great job, obviously. Leonardo DiCaprio is probably my favorite actor. The Great Gatsby's are one of my top 5. They're just unbelievable movies.
Yeah.
In every genre of music, you know, you got a lot of celebrities and you have a lot of, you know, people that tap into a lot of different genres. When you tapping in, you know, and you listen to music, what's one genre of music that Blake just has to get going in this morning that just get them right? One favorite genre.
I don't know what you consider the people like Khalid, Post Malone.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a new
R&B.
genre. I think.
That's like I wouldn't call R&B because
No,
not, but it's not rap either.
Yeah,
like
it's,
its
I
own-
don't know what they call it.
Like the vibes.
Yeah.
Like I have a playlist on my phone. It's called The Vibes.
That's-
And it's like Khalid, it's Post, it's like
Yeah.
Golden, like it's all those guys.
Mhm.
How you feeling?
1 second, boom, other meter.
We made it all 5 rounds. We made it all 5 rounds. Now the question is, you're from Dallas, so do you want to switch it up a notch? Or do you want to just, listen, you got the option.
How this?
This is the first time we ever did this.
Okay.
So you tell us what you want to do. Either we can knock it off and take our shots and call it in, pack our bags, go up to New Orleans, or we can switch it all the way up and get another 5.
Just this, because I don't like wasting. There's like enough of this left to
We can
probably
finish
do
it
one
off.
more round.
One more round.
So let's do one more round of champagne, and I'm happy to invite the tequila into the conversation.
Fair enough. Fair
I heard what he said.
Fair enough.
Let's do it.
Oh,
Let's
brother.
do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm definitely gonna answer something, and I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, oh
Yeah.
man,
Anything,
didn't like that answer.
anything you can share that Uncle Stevie taught you in business?
Whoa, that is a thick pour.
Yeah.
That's a thick pour.
We all there. Mine is bigger. Yeah, we got bigger cups, so I'm really right there with you.
Okay, I'm going to address this because I have this idea that I've been sitting on, which is going to go take a lie detector test and having someone ask me, has Steve ever given you anything? And I'd like to say no to that question, and the lie detector test will say that's true, because he hasn't. But he has given me a tremendous amount of knowledge, and I don't want to discount that. Like, I really want to make sure that he gets credit for that. The biggest thing is he taught me how to understand how important it is to have a culture in your business. Like, when it's your business, it's very easy to be incredibly passionate about it, there's no question. But it's not as easy if you're an employee, because it's like, really, I kind of, like, in most businesses, like, if you work at McDonald's, right? Granted, I'm not trying to compare my employees to McDonald's employees, but like, you work at McDonald's, like, do you really kind of give a shit if McDonald's makes good numbers? Of course not, right? Like, I want you to put I want your self-esteem to be attached to the business. So how do you do that? And so you create a strong culture in the business. Steve is probably one of the all-time entrepreneurs in terms of creating a culture in the business. And he taught me a lot of the things that Wynn would do to create that culture. And it's a lot of those things we directly apply to our business. Like, we have a concept that we do every Tuesday called storytelling, where instead of like an employee of the month program, like everyone will tell a story of something that they did with a client independently from anyone else watching, and they're able to get praise for that. And whether it be whether they get like, we've done different things for that, but usually it's just an opportunity for you to say what you've done, let everyone else give you a round of applause, and actually feel good about it, right? Because then all of a sudden, everyone's trying to tell a story that next Tuesday, and they're trying to one-up their friend or their coworker or whatever's story. And it creates this atmosphere where it's like, I'm not the only person who gives a shit about this business. Everybody gives a shit about this business. And that's been huge for us. You know, I mean, you got to understand too, right? Like, this started in 2018. We were not profitable until January of 2020. And then March 2020 comes around, boom, Corona shuts the world down, right? We remained profitable from January 2020 until this very day. But even more importantly, every single one of our clients also did that. We're a marketing agency, so it's not necessarily easy to create that atmosphere.
That's shit. It's not.
And at the same time, like, I don't want to mislead anybody. Like, we have a really young team. Like, the average age is probably, I would say, like, really averaging it out, probably 23. Like, they're young, right? But they're young, they're hungry, and they actually give a shit. And like, I would rather have that than some 50-year-old in a suit that I gotta pay 10 times more to, who does 9 times less. You know what I mean? Like, these kids are hungry, and like, everyone's excited to like come to work every day. We have like, another thing about the culture, we have an unlimited days off policy. You don't want to be here, don't come. But if you're here, I have the great pride and joy of being able to look at you and be like, man, like, he wanted to be here today. She wanted to be here today. Like, that's fucking dope.
Nah, sorry to cut you off. You know what you remind me of? And we got to get him on the show, by the way. You remind me of a young Grant Cardone. And here's why.
No, I don't say that.
Listen.
A snake oil fucking salesman, I don't know.
Listen, now here's why.
No.
Here's why. The energy. And this is what you got to realize. I think the energy that you have, that I think matches him, I think that's sales. And I think that's sales, and I think that sales that leads to profit off the camera. Because I think that he had mastered a skill which is this, and translated to swiping that card and getting that money every month. So I think that by you being that young, I ain't saying, you know, what you just said. I'm saying that it could turn profitable. And I get that from you, and the reason why we interview, why we're here, I think that's a very major keystone in your life that, you know, I'm able to compare it to someone like that that's in this fucking late 50s. Talk about how you think that, you know, the salesman part of you, because you are a salesman at the end of the day. How do you think that impact your life to this day at the age that you are right now, being compared to somebody like that? It's a 30-year gap. How did you kind of perfect it? You might not perfect it in your eyes.
From the thought?
Yeah, from the thought.
From the angle that you're comparing me, I do appreciate it. I acknowledge that. At the same time, it really isn't the same.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because, to me, it's not about us being profitable. Like, if I wanted to be profitable, I would sell something that was more expensive, to be honest with you. Like if you're already able to get, let's say, $25,000 or $50,000 contact from someone, why not go for the $1 million? Like, if it's about sales and it's about money, right? Like, and truth be told, I'm fine saying it on camera, I do believe that's what Grant Cardone is about. Like, that's just my opinion. Like, I feel like he's a salesman. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, I don't feel that way. He's not pushing shit down your throat. Grant Cardone is pushing shit down your throat. Like,
he's a salesman.
And look, and I'm not knocking salesmen. I'm just saying, like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Grant Cardone's a salesman. Like, I don't look at it as a salesman. Like, we have a rule in our office, like, that all our salespeople know. I know it. Brock knows it. Everybody knows it. Like, if a client is, or a potential client is kind of on the fence, like, towards no, you are not allowed to convince a no to be a yes. Because you're losing from the second that they become a yes. Because we're marketing agency, right? So the second they agree to it and they pay us, it's like, yo, where's my money? Where's this? Where's this? Where's this? I don't want that. I mean, you guys know. I mean, it's like, it's like, look, if you don't want it, don't buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want it, be prepared for probably the best quality. And if it's not, that's on us. And I'll take that. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to take someone who's a no originally, make them a yes. They're going to fucking hate it the whole goddamn time. And then it's like, what do we get from that?
No.
What do we get from that? What do they get from that? And that's the thing is, like, really what they get from that is what's most important, right? Like, you won't find a negative review of our company online right now.
Right.
I really hope it stays that way.
Hold up, because a lot of companies can't see it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe one day we won't be able to either. And look, like, that happens. Like,
And it happens, yeah.
But not today, hopefully.
I believe what you guys do is you guys make it very personal.
Yeah.
And you, as a client, you feel he really has my best interest. He's not in it for this or that. He has my best interest. He'll be honest. And I think that's the atmosphere you guys created. Honesty and your commitment. You say, hey, we can do this, you do it. You say, we'll help this way, you help this way.
Mm-hmm.
And you're very, it just feels like a family. And you feel like, I trust him. That's what you guys bring, trust. And when we look at you guys in Enclave and Key, we feel trust, we feel loyalty, we feel honesty, and I feel like there's something more people
Oh, is it zero?
gonna flock to just because of your honesty.
You sleep good at night.
Yeah, you sleep good.
To end round 6, you sleep good at night. You know, you sleep good at night. Are we done this? We're fairly done. I'm gonna just finish this.
You know what? You give me that. Give me that.
How you feeling right?
A little too much bubbles in my system, but like not that tipsy.
Do you want to keep
honestly.
going?
Yeah, let's go.
We're at the top of the 7th, man. How you feeling?
I'm good.
How you feeling?
I'm good, man.
Yeah. It's an honor that we got Mr. Wynn in here. Now, I know we, Wynn Hotels, we got a lot of things going on. I haven't tried the steakhouse that you bring to the table. Now, for a lot of people that don't know what's going on, what's the best steakhouse in Vegas? Humbly. For the people.
I'm gonna make it humbly because I'm not gonna pick one that
Yeah, don't.
I'm not even gonna pick one that win.
Yeah, because
Shout out to Chef Stephen Hopcraft at STK. It's unbelievable every time. Here's the reason I give it to STK. I think the SW is obviously a very popular steakhouse here in Las Vegas. It's fantastic, but STK has ambiance. I don't really feel like SW does. Well, it does. It has like the old money ambiance. I'm also 21. Like I like the fact that like, my steak comes out with like a martini. I'm like having a good time. Like everyone's there.
STK.
Music's loud. It's like cool. I'm gonna go to STK. Yeah, unbelievable at Cosmopolitan. Everyone should try it.
yeah,
We're just talking about that.
Did you guys go?
No,
We didn't get to
Oh, I have to go.
We were just talking about it.
Stay till Tuesday. We'll go tomorrow.
It's
you go. See, look at that. But if you say no, fine. Then fine.
That's why the honesty.
I like the honesty, man. That's real shit. That's real shit.
The honesty is perfect, man.
Mm-hmm.
What's a typical day for you when you're not in the office?
Not in the office. I'm not in the office a lot, to be honest with you. I travel a lot, probably close to 10 to 15 days a month at the minimum. And those days are all over the place. I have a great time, like getting to see the world, not even just the country, but the world at a young age is really rewarding as part of my career. But at the same time, there could be a day where like I get there and I have one meeting. And so I'm kind of just like, check out the city, see what's going on, yeah, whatever. But like a true off day, honestly, I'd like to turn my brain off because I don't have a lot of them. Like typically, I try to give myself 2 days off a month, and typically those 2 days off a month end up being largely sleep because it'll be like I'll have gone DC, New York, Miami, 10-day trip. I get home, red eyes both directions. I get home and I need sleep. So that's the day. New Orleans, man. Ooh,
That time.
It was a great time. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't feel like I have like a day off routine. Like I like to spend time with my mom. You know, I have a cat. Hang out with the homie Castle. You met him. He's dope. I have a girlfriend now, so I spend time with her. Besides that, not really much.
That's powerful, man.
Because the thing is too is like you want to have like a work-life balance. Like I feel really lucky because like a lot of my work is also my life, because it's like I said, like with the athletes, and also not just the athletes, like the influencers and everything too. Like they're my really good friends. Like our staff we're really close. Like so. Everything kind of feels like you're off, but at the same time, it's like it's high intensity. Like I can't, like the brain can't be off, but at the same time, it's like, man, I'm having a good time the whole time. And so, you know, the days off are usually sleep.
Yeah. Right. If you could pick, you know, one city to have your marriage on, what city would it be?
Oh man.
I gotta hit you with the hard.
Doesn't feel like a great question.
Oh, it's an awesome question. What city?
Man.
One, not multiple. One.
You said what?
Not multiple.
One. Yeah. Okay. I would say it's really important to me that like everyone that I care about could be there. Yeah. And I feel like my brother got married. When he got married, it was in Hawaii, and a lot of his friends couldn't come because it was so far.
Yeah, it's too far. Yeah.
So from that regard, I'd probably say Vegas, just to make sure everyone could come, because like the majority of people I care about are here. If I really could get married anywhere in the world, to be honest, I don't think I'd care that much. Like I would care more about like, the honeymoon, like the people. Like well, in terms of the location, I care more about the honeymoon. Yeah. It's like you want to go somewhere, like let's go pick and like put your finger anywhere on the map, like we'll go. But to get married, yeah, I care more about the people, man. Like, also too, like I've seen most cities that you want to see. Like I've been there, you know. So like I don't really get anything out of like, man, I want to get married in Miami because I went one time ever and it was the best time ever. Yeah. It's like I'm there like almost every month, you know. Like, and that's how it is for a lot of the cities that I really like. You know, I like DC a lot. I like New York a lot. I like Miami a lot. I like Vegas a lot. I like Dubai a lot. But like Dubai, like I'd probably have like 9 people at my wedding.
It ain't gonna be shit. Like, it ain't gonna be shit. It ain't gonna be shit. Now I know you talked about, you know, we got a minute 13 seconds to wrap it up in this round. I know you talked about being in the mirror. And you told us that when you convinced us when you came out of New Orleans.
Governor,
yeah, governor. What's so powerful in that move that said, you know what, let me make this move in this position, in this city, in this state, and be a powerful name?
Okay, I'm gonna get this part out of the way first. Selfishly, it's because, like I said, when the first question you guys asked me was like, why does entrepreneurship matter to me? It's showing people value in ways they didn't expect to see it. In terms of why I want to actually do it, it's because I feel like politics as a whole have really deviated from what they were meant to be. Yeah. Like originally it was supposed to be, you get elected to represent what the people who vote for you want you to do. Right. Now it's, look at me, I'm a politician, I have a massive ass ego, and like, to be honest with you, I don't really fucking care what you think. Thanks for electing me, but like, I don't really fucking care what you think. Like, I don't like Trump, or I love Trump, and that's what I'm gonna vote on, and that's the end of it. And so like, to me, there just needs to be politicians that have the voice to represent the people that elected them. That is their job. And so like, to me, it's like, I said I wanted to run for governor. I never said I wanted to be governor, because I don't really care if I win or not. If I don't win, it's because people didn't elect me. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, it's like, I'm running for governor because I want to be governor. You know, like if I don't win, I don't win because that's what the democratic system's about. Yeah. Right? I do think there's a lot of room for improvement in Vegas, like, or not even just in Vegas, but in the state of Nevada. Like, we're 48th in education. That sucks. That's stupid. We have unbelievable business here. We're one of the fast-growing cities in the world. You go to Nashville, you go to Austin, you go to Vegas. They're comparable. I would say those are the 3 biggest growing cities. And Tampa, you could throw in there. Like, those are the powerful cities in the country right now in terms of what's really growing. Like, New York's not growing. New York's just New York, right? LA's LA. Miami's Miami. And I just feel like Vegas is Vegas, But there's room.
It's
And
right.
Reno is
That's what
Reno,
you give
but
it.
there's room.
That's what you give it. It's
Yeah.
Vegas. Okay.
Yeah, but it,
They give you that okay factor.
it's right.
That just okay. Let's go to Vegas.
But that's also saying that as a tourist.
Exactly.
Like imagine sending your kids to school where the public education system is 48th in the country.
Yeah.
Yet
See?
it's one of the most booming cities in the world. It doesn't make any sense. Education is probably the most reason that I want to do this.
I really made it to the 8th round. Hey, how you feeling?
Yeah.
Blake, how you feeling?
Fine.
See that very.
You see that very.
I would like to keep it champagne because I probably will throw up if I drink tequila.
Yeah. You would probably have to keep a champagne though. We got the
Keep
production man saying, let's do it.
I got another bottle of that right there in that little box.
I mean, you want to keep them what?
I don't care. I got like a whole thing.
We gotta keep
You
it.
can pick one.
Yeah, let's keep it more.
You guys can pick one.
Let's
I got,
keep 'em all.
I got the Vogue one. I got all these random fucking ones from Costco. Pick one. I don't care.
Let's do some Clico.
All right.
Clico is my shit. Now we're at the top of the 8. How you feeling?
Good man.
How you feeling?
Quality drink.
I'm feeling good.
Now we're in Vegas, you know what I'm saying? We didn't magically appear by the Clico. My favorite.
Yes.
My personal favorite. That's all I drink.
I'm in the third bottle.
This is fuck Lord. You know I'm gonna tell you why. It's the label, it's the design. It just give you that organic, just natural, clean look. Let's
Also,
it just you can't
The
go wrong.
camera's rolling.
You can't go wrong.
can we
with
tell
it.
the camera that this champagne is warm? Because I didn't know we were gonna go through this many bottles.
And it is warm.
All the more carbonation that's in my system. I seriously like I could throw up bubbles, and I could also probably drive right now. I wouldn't, but I could.
Yeah. It gets real. It gets real involved. Now I passed by. I was driving. Let me tell you this. I was driving a 911
GTR 3.
GTR 3 this weekend. Whole weekend. Enjoyed it. Loved it. I might gotta switch over. You know, I'm an AMG guy, but I might switch
Okay.
over to Porsche. All right. I was driving. I drove past you guys arena. The Vegas.
Allegiant.
The Vegas. It's all black, huh?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
Vegas.
It's nice.
Do you think you ever switch over to, being tied in with the Raiders and
Nope. Next question.
He's a
No, I mean no.
I mean, and that's no.
No, but look, I love.
Yeah, because
I love
I'm
the
just saying because
Chargers.
it's a whole, yeah.
I love that they're here. I really do.
Yeah.
And a lot of Raiders players are clients of ours, great friends. Like I don't literally hate the Raiders. Like I don't like when they play the Chargers. I hate them. Same way I hate the Broncos or any other team that plays the Chargers on that particular Sunday because I want to win.
That's arena in the league.
It's a cool arena, really cool arena.
By far.
They've done a lot of cool stuff in there that you're going to finally see this year when fans get to go in there. Props to the Raiders. They've done a great job. They've got a young team. I think they're actually going to end up pretty good. But no, I mean, like, I'm a Chargers fan.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, believe me, if I was going to switch, I would have switched when they should have won Super Bowls and couldn't even make the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like they'd had.
Yeah, he's so
Look, in 2011, they had the number 1 offense and number 1 defense, and they didn't make the playoffs. You think if I was going to switch, I wouldn't have switched then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And how
look,
does
I
that
understand
happen?
it's kind of a little bit, not incredibly functional as a winning team.
Shout out to the
I
Raiders.
get it.
You're a real fan, man.
Although, hey, I will say this: if I was a Bears fan, I would have switched. That's the only team in the NFL that's done enough shit that I'd be like, I'm done. I'm seriously done.
You're a crazy Bears fan.
And we wanted to get him to come out and just sit right here. I figured somebody was going to bring up the Bears.
He don't want to jump shit.
I got one of my best friends is a Bears fan that
He's about
jumped ship.
35. He's about 35.
He doesn't want to jump shit.
He just believed that, someday.
Someday, what was the year they won the championship? Like 86 or whatever.
85.
I wasn't born. I wasn't born.
He believes this day is coming soon. Oh, this is our year. I don't see it happening.
No, it's not the Bears' year for at least the next 15. When Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert. I mean, I'm naming Herbert because I'm biased. Josh Allen. I mean, there's so many good deeps in the league.
Yeah.
Nick Foles and co. It's not happening. It's just not happening.
That's like asking
Respect to
for
Nick
too much.
Foles, he won the
not.
bowl, but
Yeah,
no.
you gotta ask him for too much.
If you could get Drake in one room, what's some things you would talk about, in one far as business, pleasure time, relaxation, you know, futuristic. 2-3 hours. What's some topics that you will bring up?
I'd ask him if he invests in small business. I'd only ask him stuff that applied to something that I could potentially be of value for.
Yeah.
Like, to me, because I've been around a lot of different people that are, whether it's high profile or maybe not high profile, but high net worth or something like that. Like, to me, it's like, look, you are who you are because you've clearly killed it at something in life, and I beyond respect that, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like, I'd like to know if there's a way that we can do something together. Because I could probably watch an interview of you on the Breakfast Club and figure out how you got started. You know what I mean? That's what I love about your guys' show, right? Like, you asked me, like, who is Blake Wynn? And I gave a little backstory. Besides that, like, you haven't asked the question that I've asked every single week when I agree to do, like, interviews, right? Because it's like, it's repetitive. You can find it online, whatever. Like, I want to, Drake, when you're investing in a small business, what do you look at, right? Are you currently doing it? If you're not currently doing it, why are you not currently doing it? Do you invest in stocks? I got to ask him about his investments, number one. I'd probably ask him who are the 5 people individually behind the scenes who you would attribute your success to, separate from yourself. Take your ego out of it. Name 5 people who without them you could not have been to where you are. And then as you name each one, why? Why? Right? Because, like, publicly, people, like, even like me, like, oh, like Kais Omar blew up your YouTube. Fair enough. But if you're asking who is more responsible for my success, Kais Omar or Brock Prince, like, it's a stupid fucking question, right? And so, like, for me, it's very important to really kind of dissect, like, why are you who you are? How is that possible? And is there room for me to potentially get involved in that? I wouldn't ask Drake to invest in my business. It'd be cool if he did. I don't know what I do with it. I don't know what I do with it. Like, we're not looking for investors, but, like, I'd be like, okay, like, Drake's an investor. Like, I feel like that sentence would be worth it.
It would, but I don't think it is.
I don't think you would.
My ego's not that big. If Drake was willing to write me $1,000 check for 20%, I'd probably take it. Yeah. Because the way I look at it is, like, it's what they say on Shark Tank, right? Like, would you rather own 100% of 10 million or 50% of a billion?
And that's how
I'd rather have 50% of a billion.
Yeah,
and, like, Drake is a mover like that.
Yeah,
like,
that's real shit.
If it was like Roddy Rich, I wouldn't say the same thing. No, like, I'd be like, okay, like, I appreciate it, like, respect, like, I seriously, like, I'm humbled by the fact that you're interested, but no, right? Like, that would be the difference in conversation. Grew up idolizing Drake, so it'd be cool to work with him. Can't say I've ever met him. Would love to. You know what's funny is a lot of our clients will, like, reach out and be like, man, Drake followed me. Like, Drake follows lots of people. Like, one of my good friends was just here, and he was like, he was like telling me his whole story of, like, how Drake followed him and DM'd him and, like, all this stuff. And I'm like, man, like, it's crazy because it's like, that's real power. Like, when celebrities are looking at you, like, man, he did this.
That's real shit.
It's like, yeah, man, happy to take. I would give someone like Drake 20% of my company for free. I really would.
And that's how we look at it, man. It's just about, and like I understand my brother said, you know, it's more about. I wouldn't give 1,000 people 5%, but I would give somebody who got 100 million followers 20-30%. It's just the revenue. It's a return on investment. It's ROI. It's just the, like,
you know, it's crazy.
You know, it's just crazy. Like,
it's like,
I'm gonna give that up.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, dealing with those people, they don't even look at it that way. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
They don't look at it like, yo, I want equity. They're like, yo, I want what I want. And it's not equity. I don't care. That's like, okay, great, because I'd rather not have to.
Yeah.
But,
But it's like, they just like, let's just do it. Let's sign it up. You know what's crazy? Wrapping up this round. I don't know if you watch Drink Champs.
What show?
Drink Champs.
No.
All right, Revolt TV. That's P Diddy. That's his.
Okay.
That's Revolt TV. That's his platform. That's one of his platforms. You know, he does that, Breakfast Club, etc., etc. They just got fucking Drake, Nori, what's his name? We trying to get to know him. They just got Drake after 5-6 years, and that's crazy because it's like Drake watching this shit 5-6 years straight, and it's on shit like, look, I'm just waiting on y'all for the fucking blow. And once y'all blue, I'm gonna come on now. It's almost like, look, I'm gonna come on now. I want y'all to do y'all leg work.
It makes sense.
I'm gonna come on now. I want y'all to do y'all leg work. I want y'all to constantly put the work in. When it comes to your platform, do you turn downward?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
All the time. Okay.
And that's a good one.
Two things I'm gonna tell
We're
you.
at the top of the night.
What about?
Top of the night. Top of the night.
I'm gonna tell you two things based on that.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, you have to turn down work. Part of having whoa. That is so much thicker than the last pour.
B, what you think?
That is so much liquor. I mean, you can look at the replay. I mean, you can look at the replay.
It's pretty equivalent.
Oh!
I think the eyesight's getting a little.
Oh!
The equivalent.
Hey, Brock. Hey,
Brock
Brock.
said it.
I'm only doing it because of Brock said it.
Alright.
Brock, look, Brock, get your cup. Get your cup.
Oh shit.
Yeah, get your.
Fuck that.
Exactly.
Take the cup. Brock, pick it up.
Here,
Come on.
I'll pour him up. Wait.
I got him.
Here.
Yeah, pour him on this.
Oh.
He's trying to get.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Braxton escaped this episode. Hey,
That's fine.
Go ahead.
That's fine. We're in overtime right now.
Yeah, we over time. What this is? Top of the night.
Top of the night.
Yes, top of the good. You good?
It's in the fridge.
Yeah. Top of the night.
Let's do it.
What we talking about?
Okay, let me break it down for you right now. All right.
I agree. I don't even know what we're talking about right now. I'm so fucking lost right
Homie's drunk.
What are we talking about?
I'm being the host of the show.
It's just the top of the night. We ain't talking another.
now. We were talking about something though.
We said something.
Yeah, you did. I remember the question. And the camera will remember it too. Because I just remember what I was going to answer. Like right now, like it's been crazy, like meeting with athletes, and like I've actually had these people who I grew up idolizing, bro, be like, yo, I used to watch on YouTube. And I'm like, oh shit, right? Like how you said, like Drake watched these videos.
You watch this shit.
And was like, I'm just gonna wait till it blows up, right?
That's all it is.
Like when I met AJ Green in Cincinnati, he was like, bro, like me and the teammates used to watch you like on the flights. And I'm like, hey, you didn't think to DM me?
Yeah.
How did you know that?
Like, come on, man. Just fun.
Just get it over with.
Come on, man.
And he's like, yeah, look how much I spent on StockX, and look at this, look at this, look at this. I'm like, bro, like I just want to see that, right?
Yeah.
At the same time,
Yeah.
at the same time, number one, I obviously get why they don't do that. More importantly, like going back to what you were saying, like when you're talking about like a guy like Drake agreeing to be on one of these shows, or like the people that agree to be on the Breakfast Club or something like that, right? Like they're doing it because at that point, that platform offers them something that they don't have themselves.
Exactly.
Does Drake have a podcast?
Nope.
No. Right? So Breakfast Club, well, podcast, radio show.
Yeah.
Like I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, like I know what the Breakfast Club is, obviously.
Yeah.
Like I get it, but it's like you're giving someone access to another platform.
Yeah.
Right? And so like for me, it's like that's why I agree to do podcasts. Like I never agree to do YouTube collaborations. I have not said yes to a single person in the last 3 years. But not because I don't care, but it's like I don't want to be on YouTube anymore. If I wanted to be on YouTube, I would have done it myself.
Yeah, just do it.
Like podcasts, it's like I want to do it myself. I'm not quite at the point in life where I have the time to do it. So if you want me to be on your podcast, I don't have a podcast. I want to be on it, right? Like I want to be on your show. And so, look, like I'm not at all comparing myself to Drake at all, but I get it, right? Like he doesn't have a podcast. If someone said, "Hey, you want to take a picture and collaborate with me on Instagram?" Drake would probably be like, "Why don't you go fuck yourself?" Right? Like, why would he do that? Right? Like, unless it's Kim Kardashian or Annie Kardashian or maybe Addison or Charlie. Like, there's probably less than 15 people that it would be worth collaborating for Drake, where he'd actually get any value from that.
So moving to that, Jay-Z, powerful guy. Relevancy, I think Drake more popular, but long term, Jay-Z's more is that guy. When it comes to business, if you could sit down with Hov, I know the conversation might change tremendously because they're in two different points in life. You got a guy that's what Drake want to be. He's talking about in your meeting. What's some key points that you would talk about in Hov? In the Hov meeting, 3 hours. He invited you to the spot, Calabasas. 3 hours. You just got to open.
All right. Well, you said he invited me. So clear. So I'm assuming he sees something in me or my business that he's interested in.
Correct.
So for the first hour and a half, I'm trying to sell them on it, right? Like,
in Cleveland.
like, here's why what we do is actually relevant. Here's why it's special. Here's why it's different. And after that, I'm like, tell me what you want. You want 40% for free? Like, you want it? Like, it'll be dilutable, right? But I'll give it to you, right? Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Like, I was just recently involved in a small business investment myself. Amazing company called Hubi. It's a link in bio tool.
Yep.
It's a link in bio tool. It's a competitor of Linktree, but it's better. It's honestly a lot better than Linktree, right? Like, they came to me and they basically made me one of the largest shareholders without me having to pay that much. Like, I basically purchased a very small percentage, but was given a larger percentage than that to be involved. Because I said, hey, I'm gonna bring you X, Y, Z, right? That company, to me, it's like, it only took me a couple of phone calls and it changed, I would say, and I think they would say it as well, which is why I'm comfortable saying it on camera, it changed the valuation of that company dramatically. And Hove, being a part of our company, would do the same. So to not accept an opportunity like that would be absolutely nonsense. So I would be like, look, tell me what you want. Tell me what you want, let me get you involved. Which, funny enough, I never thought about it being that basic as tell me what you want.
Tell me what you want.
But to be honest with you, Jordan Greenfield from Hubi, shout out to Jordan, you're unbelievable. He said that exact thing to me on the golf course. He was like, yo, tell me what you want. And I was like, an advisory seat, I guess. He's like, okay. He's like, what else? I was like, he's like, will you invest anything? I was like, hell yeah, I'll invest, because when I go to tell these people about what you guys are doing, I want to tell them, yo, I put my money there too. Because it wasn't like me being like, yo, cool idea, appreciate the free equity. It was like, yo, I'll put my money there too. And also, I want more equity, right? Fast forward a little bit, they've done a phenomenal job. Jordan, Joe, the whole team has done unbelievable. And so they've gotten publicly traded companies to invest in this and to hopefully buy it. And so it's been just an unbelievable investment, not only for me personally, but now using it as a learning tool for myself, because I'm still 21. Like, I'm learning from all these experiences. I'm like, man, like, that was smart. Because for me, I look at it like it was 3 phone calls. They look at it like, man, that changed my valuation by a few million. And it's like, that changed me by that as well. Man, like, it's real, you know, so I get it. And so not like Hove, like, I mean, that's
Drake times 5, literally. Times 10 might be on how you look at it. Might be times 10. Like,
as a businessman, I would say so.
Yeah, times 10.
I don't really know Drake to be a businessman. Not saying he couldn't be, but I don't.
That's just
like,
that's another.
Jay-Z, Diddy's another one. Like,
can't
say I'm a Diddy fan, but like, I would be happy to give him what he wanted.
Them dudes strictly on some.
George Clooney's another guy. It's like, look what he did. Look what he did with Casamigos. You know what I mean? Like, like these people. Like, if you get business, you get business.
Yeah.
Winklevoss twins are phenomenal. Michael Gruen, a guy out of LA who manages the Sway House, that brought like Bryce Hall, Griffin Johnson, like all those boys to the scene.
Powerful.
Michael Gruen, I mean, it's so funny, like, so we do some marketing for the Chargers, right? And we're supposed to bring on celebrities every week. And I bring on Michael Gruen, and they're like, yo, like, he's got 20,000 followers, why are you bringing him on? I'm like, yo, I need to bring out Michael Gruen. Like, I'm telling you guys, like, I don't know what it's gonna be, this guy's gonna pop, right? We bring on a lot of other celebs, right? So we get to this game, it's the first game we ever bring Michael Gruen out to. This is like a 22-year-old guy, like I said, 20,000 followers, doesn't seem like he's an influencer on paper. He's not an influencer whatsoever. But he's a mover and shaker. That's what I call him. He's a mover and shaker. So we get to the Chargers game, and Ashton Kutcher's there. We bring that's a whale for us, right? We had Ashton Kutcher, we had Leo DiCaprio, we had some big guys come out.
That's amazing.
But Ashton's a whale, right? Yeah. So Ashton's coming up. And I'm like, man, I can't wait to finally meet him in person. I'm like, man, I watched that 70s show, I did the whole thing. I'm like, man, I'm about to. Ashton looks over, and I'm saying with Michael, this guy with 20,000 followers, right? And he goes, Michael, how are you? He gives him a big hug. I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. Michael Rubin, the guy that owns Fanatics, the 76ers, the whole thing. Michael, how are you? This guy's 22, and he's just fucking killing it. And I'm like, that is closer to what I want to be than any of this other shit. Yeah. Right? It's like, yeah, you have 20,000 followers, but of those 20,000, you're talking about everyone that needs to follow you follows you, right? Like, he started a company himself, right? His investors, Winklevoss twins, Kutcher, Rubin. I mean, you know, you go name by name, Portnoy. I mean, you go name by name. I mean, it's like that to me is real business, right? Like, and the thing is, like, I don't want to get caught up in like these names being the end all be all of like, man, like they're just names, and I get that, but it's like those names, it means something to somebody to do a favor for one of those names, right? Like, if I ask you to do a favor for, you know, this random guy on the street, or I ask you to do a favor for the Winklevoss twins who started Ethereum, you're gonna do a favor for the Winklevoss twins, and there's millions of people that feel the same way. That's pretty powerful. I'd rather have that because I'm a business person. I'm not an influencer. I don't really care. You know, like to me, it was like as soon as I got verified, I was like, okay, influencer thing done and gone.
Yeah.
Like past that point in life.
So to a person that's trying to start.
Also, like I know I'm a little late on this, so
Yeah, you are. We're at the top of the tip. Here we go, bro. Here we go, bro. Rock.
I was at to point out your guys' record is 9, so I just set the record. I get it's champagne, it's not hard. I get
I
it.
didn't say
That's why we're gonna pad it. We're gonna create a space.
Rock. We didn't say nothing.
You didn't say anything.
I'm behind
You didn't say it, they said it, but
Hey,
I get it.
People might say it, you know.
I get it, which is why we're gonna pad it. We're gonna make it a real question.
Yeah. And this is real shit
Who
though.
wants that?
Cause like I said, it's not no apple juice. Cause the people tend to think we drinking.
Is apple juice awfully
They
spicy?
tend to think this is like
So it's
not
not
real shit. And, you know, and they tend to think we're playing. You know, this is real shit.
Can you drink, please?
If you
You
can,
too.
hold on. If you can create any business in Vegas, what would you create?
Top. Restaurant club, strip club, anything.
Economic value.
You guys are lucky. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little tipsy now. I'm not drunk. I'm a little tipsy. I'm gonna tell you the truth. You wanna know?
Let's go.
I would start a hotel just to prove that I can do it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's the biggest question, right? Like, could I actually do what he did? And I really think I could do it better. I really do.
Yeah.
So I would do that. Just give me a direct comparison. Like, if I don't do as well, power to Steve. But
What make you think you could do this well?
because I understand where the world is now. Like, and also I think there's a lot more opportunity now than that ever existed before.
Yeah.
Right? Like you look at like, I'm not trying to take anything away from him. Like you look at like what Steve did. Like you're talking about 1994. Okay. So in 1994, he pitched to the government of well, like the governor, I suppose, of Nevada at the time. He was like, I'm going to create this project. It's called Mirage, and it's 600 million. Okay, before that, the largest project that ever been undertaken in the state of Nevada was 100 million. So I'm going to create a project that's 6 times larger than anything ever created, and it's going to be a success. Steve ended up creating a Mirage for 600 million in 1994, and he sold it 2 years later for 6.6 billion. Talk about a success, unbelievable, and all power to him. So I don't think I can necessarily recreate that story because now every building that comes up here, Resorts World, Wynn, Encore, the whole thing, every building is 2 billion plus. But it doesn't take marketing into account, man. And
Yep.
that I'm telling you that it just changes the game, right? Like you're from New Orleans, so it might not be as big of a deal to you, but like a restaurant like Saddle Ranch in Los Angeles, they've done a fantastic job of getting every TikToker, and every YouTuber, and everyone who's relevant on social to go there. And then let me tell you all how this really works. They all call Fletcher, okay? Fletcher is the guy that runs the Hollywood Fix. I've called him myself before to show up at certain places and do a little interview of you as paparazzi, right? They all call him, hey, we're at Saddle Ranch tonight, show up at 8:30, we're gonna be leaving, I'm gonna be in a Tesla, I'm gonna be with so-and-so, who I probably shouldn't be with, but I'm gonna be with them, right? And that in itself has created this whole atmosphere where in the background of every video, Saddle Ranch is there, it's a whole thing. So now, Saddle Ranch is a business, went from being a restaurant that's barely investable because restaurant industry sucks as an investment to this unbelievable company. David Dobrik, I'm revealing it because like it's probably by the time this airs, it'll probably be fine. David Dobrik's opening a pizza spot right next to Saddle Ranch with a few of my buddies. I passed on the investment. Not that I don't see the value, it was just too expensive. They're opening up a pizza spot right next to Saddle Ranch because it's like that's what everyone is. So if you don't want to sit down and have a 2-hour dinner and then get followed up by paparazzi, you can go grab a fucking slice of pizza and go pop up out in front of Fletcher all you want, right? Like that's really what it is. And so I mean, number one, obviously, ultimately, everything boils down to people, right? Like Hollywood Fix is this big company that's on YouTube with 10 million views and all these videos talking to all these little TikTok kids. Like, the guy's name's Fletcher, and that's about the extent of it. Fletcher, camera on the shoulder. Hey, are you dating so and so? You know. And so for me, it's like, okay, like seeing that happen, I understand now. I'm like, man, the marketing's really valuable. And I truly do believe that Steve does not possess the marketing knowledge that I have. I'll say it, because I've said far worse in larger interviews. The first interview I ever did, I was 16 years old. And I didn't know what interviews were at the time. It was for the Las Vegas Review Journal. So I didn't have a relationship with Steve for like 8 to 10 years of my life. My parents got divorced. He's my dad's older brother. I was raised by my mother when my parents got divorced. So Steve kind of just left with my dad. No bad feelings. Just you know, separated. I got a call the day this article comes out from a number on my phone I didn't have, and I was like, oh shit. I'm like, hello. He's like, is this my nephew, Blake? Who's this? He says it's your Uncle Steve. I said, oh boy. And Steve's got a really intimidating voice. Basically, I answered every question honestly. Like he says, what kind of car do you drive? I answered the question. How much do you make a year? I answered the question. Because I didn't realize that reporters put this shit into the paper. And it went from it was supposed to be a column on the back of the paper. It was the cover of the paper on Sunday. And it was a Las Vegas Review Journal. It's not a big deal, but cover the paper, I'm like, oh boy. And the headline is success in the jeans or the sneakers. And then in bold, it says, it was a quote from me, which I all fairness, I did say it. And Steve respected it. I said, by the time I'm done, Steve will be known as nothing more than my uncle. And I said it, and I did, and I stand by it to this day. And Steve loved it. And so I got a call from him, and he was like, yo, like, obviously he wasn't like, yo, but he called me up, and he was like, I want you to be at the hotel tomorrow night with your mom. I was like, all right. And so literally from that moment on is when we rekindled. I hadn't seen him in 10 years. And I grew up around him 5-6 days a week. I really did. And didn't see him for 10 years, rekindled like that, and that was really the end of it. Long story short, I do think I could create a hotel that would be comparable. Right. If I had the money. I don't have $2 billion. I wish, man, but I don't.
To wrap it up small, I know you're super competitive. You have the poker table, you have the ping pong table. Who's the best ping ponger in the house?
Me, by a lot.
I'm pointing to him off camera, but yeah.
Everybody off camera is pointing at me. I really, like, dude, seriously, I don't take losing well. Well, that's not true. I take losing fine, if I really lose. But I'm really unwilling to lose. In anything. There's like 5 people watching this interview right now. One of them, I'm not willing to lose in deal 2. One of them, I'm not willing to lose in Pong 2. Josh isn't here. There's a million things. I'm Madden, everything. I'm not willing to lose in him too. Like, man, I'm fine being worse, but I won't lose.
Damn.
That, like, seriously, like, it really bothers me to lose.
Now the thing is, you didn't finish.
Can I chug it and then be good?
You could chug it, Mika, if you want to go to the next round.
I would love to. Just because I'd like to pad the lead. Did you chug it?
Now listen.
He's past this now.
Now let's keep it real.
Oh.
Now let's keep it real. We done wrapped up 10 rounds.
11 rounds.
11 rounds. 11 rounds.
Yeah, both of them. Wrapped up 11.
I fucked up your host.
I feel good. I'm in a city, Las Vegas. You know, we've been on Clico. We hit Moet. You know, and now we got 10 this or that questions. Aaron, you ready?
I'm ready.
Blake, you ready?
Let's
Let's go. Crawfish or shrimp?
Allergic to both.
Okay. Jet or plane?
Jet.
QD or Breakfast Club?
Wait, what?
QD.
Oh, quality, or QD.
There you
He said that too. QD. I haven't been on Breakfast Club. Fuck them.
Chanel.
I shouldn't have said that. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it out there. Put me on the show.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay. Chanel or Gucci?
I have to say Gucci based on my spending.
Wolfgang Puck? Or
No, whatever the other option is. Really not a fan, man.
SVW.
What?
SW.
SW.
Oh, SW.
SW.
Come on.
Jet or plane?
Still Jet.
New York or Paris?
Oh man, I don't like Paris, New York.
Cold or summer? That's tough. That's
Cold.
really tough.
I'm gonna tell you why. You can layer up with cold.
And that's
what the fuck am I supposed to do with
Yeah,
summer?
but it's hot.
I'm sweaty. What am I supposed to do?
It's just hot.
I can't walk around naked. It's
Lamborghini or
inappropriate.
Ferrari?
Huh?
Lamborghini, Ferrari.
Lamborghini, because I want the Urus.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. If I ever upgrade my car, it's gonna be a Urus.
Okay.
That's 400,000, so that's a little ways down the line. I don't think I can pull it. Can't justify it.